I forgot to start recording. So basically, we're focusing on the Cheers criteria. For anyone who's rewatching this video, it's on page 40 of the Crime Analysis for Problem Solvers handout. All right, it's up on Blackboard. Okay. So, anyone want to go first or talk about their problem or what they're looking at?
I can. I just finished, I think a few days ago, I screenshotted my second pictures because it's been a month already for the Houston homicide rate. And I've seen some significant changes from the first and second pictures.
All right. So these are gonna be a series of basically stupid questions. All right. But they're going to be pretty useful in helping you define what your problem is actually going to be and establishing what you need to do about it. So first, who is harmed by the homicide, or what members of the public experienced the harmful event?
I guess just anyone really, any citizen could have experienced it.
Yeah. Someone died. Someone definitely experienced that event. Okay. Harm.
Who was harmed by it?
Were people harmed by it?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I mean, yeah, duh, right? Someone died. Pretty, like, unequivocally harmed. Do the police expect someone to do, or the police to do something about a homicide?
Yes.
Yeah. How many homicides are we dealing with in Houston?
Varies a lot. The total was, I don't think I wrote down the total, but I can double check because there's a big difference between the first month and then the second screenshots I took.
Okay, can you just give me like a guesstimate? You don't have to like give me an exact.
Okay. I think it was like 2830.
Okay.
In the month of August 8th to September 8th.
Okay. So 20 to 30, August, September. What would you guess on the September, October?
Looks like around like 45.
Oof.
Yeah, it blew up.
So you've got basically 70 to 80 discrete events. I'd say that would be definitely a repeating problem. Okay, we're getting into the, I guess, the harder questions. Did you see any hotspots that were consistent through time?
Yes.
Okay.
Southwest part of the city is huge hotspot.
Okay. So most of your homicides are concentrated in the southwest neighborhoods of Houston.
Yep.
Have you done any like research into whether or not there's a pattern within the incidents, like patterns among perpetrators, victims? Like, do you have a robbery homicide problem? Do you have a gang homicide problem? Is it a domestic violence problem?
I was comparing other crimes doing it, and there was way more robberies and stuff, and just crime overall was mostly in that area.
Okay. So it's definitely something about the area is causing crimes to concentrate there. Okay. So with the Cheers criteria, you can basically make the case that this is a problem. Like something about the southwest neighborhoods of Houston is causing crime to concentrate there. And you can make the case that it's multiple types of crime. Robberies, homicides, burglaries. So what the hell is going on in those neighborhoods? Making sense?
Yep.
Who wants to go next? Go ahead, Zach.
So it's sold in this block of Lincoln, Nebraska. It spans from South Street to O Street, north to south, and
Okay.
27 east to west.
All right, so you got about a 10 square block grid in Lincoln, Nebraska. So members of the public, the people who live in this 10 block grid, all right? Harm, you're focusing on assault and battery. All right, expectation.
Oh, yes, of course. Police are definitely expected to intervene.
Police are supposed to do something if people are fighting, right? Unless it's in a boxing ring, an MMA context, or like a Taekwondo studio, dojo, whatever the hell you call it. Police are expected to do something. Would you classify these assaults as discrete events?
Yes, and yet you can't rule out just because of how the nature of how police break up certain fights that it isn't always a different perpetrator.
Okay. So has anyone watched like a movie about gangs where like the instigating event happens in one place and then the follow-up event happens somewhere else? Like Boys in the Hood. I hate using this movie because it's overused in sociology. But classic movie from the 90s. It is a good movie. Like, don't get me wrong. Lawrence Fishburne, Cuba Gooding Jr., Ice Cube. Like, I don't often talk about rappers being good actors, but dude can fucking act. Like in this movie, one of the main characters like disrespects a gang member, and then later the gang member shoots the main character. And then Ice Cube goes after the shooter and murders the shooter. Like, these would be distinct events, but they're all, we would consider one event. Disrespect, death, reprisal. Okay, making sense? So when we try to define these as events, we can define them as, well, this would be a disagreement. This would be one murder and this would be a second murder. Okay. So again, this would be something where we could define it pretty easily, two separate murders, or you could say, well, these all are all kind of related. All right. Are these recurring? Did you see a pattern within those hotspots?
Yeah. Between 35 and 40, give or take a month.
35 to 40 assaults within this hotspot. Okay. How, like, did you look at like city level patterns?
Yeah, I mean, so as far as like that is the biggest cluster of crime in that city.
Okay.
And it's a fairly wealthy town, a fairly wealthy state. And looking at the neighborhood, that would be the area of town
Okay.
that would have the crime.
So you got some like economic disadvantage, some strain.
Definitely, you're looking at college students.
Okay. Some transients. So like collective efficacy, social disorganization.
Lots of nightlife in that area, bars.
Opportunity theory plays a role there. So we have different explanations for these recurring patterns and the fact that they're concentrating within this 10 square block area. Are they similar?
Okay.
How so?
Time that they occur correlates with you can't say, you can't rule it in or rule it out, but alcohol consumption,
Okay,
weekend nights, late night. early
so the assaults are related to the college student party schedule, basically. No one's getting into a fist fight at 10 in the morning, unless that fist fight, like
unless it's domestic.
domestic violence situation, or like someone's coming home from a real late night. Okay. So basically, answering these types of questions. I apologize, I didn't scroll down to like make this easier. So who in the community is affected by the problem? The residents within this 10 square block area. The harms are people are getting into a fight. So you got some minor physical injuries, and it could escalate to like aggravated assault. Yeah.
One thing I would add on, who is affected in the community, because the majority of the residents, many are, transient.
Mhm.
It should be assumed that they're renting their property, not purchasing it,
Okay.
and therefore the landowners also suffer because over time,
Their property is getting damaged.
the property is damaged, the quality or the value of the land goes down because of the rise in crime.
So you get an
Makes the
economic.
area even more disadvantaged.
Yeah. So expectation from the landowners, from the property managers, from the residents who aren't involved in these is that the police step in and do something.
College as well.
Yeah, University of Nebraska probably wants those assaults to go down because students who get arrested are kind of making them look bad. It's one of the Cleary report that Fort Hays has to do every year, like has to report to state of Kansas and make available on their website that these are the crimes that involved our students or that occurred on campus. So a lot of involved parties having police make these expectations. So what type of events contribute to these problems? Like you mentioned alcohol abuse, the fact that there's nightlife in that 10 square block area, the fact that like these occur at certain times on certain days of the week involving certain groups of people, college age students and people coming into the college party area.
It'll be interesting to see too, because the Nebraska football season starts back up on October 24th. So we may actually see a rise.
Oh yeah,
It's a football town.
yeah, gonna be kind of nuts. Making sense?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Like when data and information and stats come out on like crimes that happened and crimes that were reported, later when those crimes are like tried in a criminal case, like in court, and they're like overturned or innocent, do they go back and fix the data of like the actual like crime rate?
I'm not honestly sure. Because it kind of depends on what type of data you're looking at. Because if it's for a call for service, like that's not going to get changed because it was a fraud, like a fraudulent call. Because it's still like somebody called. Same with like an arrest. An arrest was made. Or the police did do this. So I don't think there's going to be like that backwards looking editing. There may be like an asterisk or like they may put in a like of the 1,000 calls we received this month, 5 of them were related to one individual swatting another because of a Call of Duty thing. Like what happened, like I think it was like 10 years ago. Someone like swatted a gamer in Wichita, I think, and like the police shot the dude because they, I guess, thought they were being shot at and they returned fire because the dude was streaming Call of Duty. Like, I think that was the situation. I know it was like somewhere in Kansas because I was really disappointed.
Maybe that was more recent than 10 years ago.
Really?
I think more like 3 or 4.
Maybe. I mean, definitely possible. Again, so much shit has happened this year that I have lost all sense of time. All right, so who's next?
I'll go next. I'm studying or looking at DUIs in the Manhattan area around K-State.
Aggieville is a giant problem. I grew up in Manhattan. I know how bad it is. Who is affected?
The people that are probably living around Aggieville, the campus.
Okay. People are hanging around Aggieville. Anyone who's on the road, because you said DUIs, like, okay, well, everyone who's on the road, on the sidewalk, in the parking lots, like potential victim. I could definitely see it. What are the harms?
DUI, you could get into an accident or cause like damage to property, or you could like kill somebody, like hitting them with your car or causing an accident and having someone die that way. Or there's like injuries related to as well if they don't die.
Injuries, death, property damage, people who like this is a pretty big function within like insurance companies. They look at where you live and what happened in those areas. So like you say you live in Aggieville and you tell State Farm or whoever, yeah, I live in Aggieville, your insurance rate is probably going to go up because they're like, okay, well, you have an increased risk of getting your car sideswiped by a drunk. What are the expectations for the police response? What do we expect the police to do?
Probably do more DUI checkpoints.
Okay, DUI checkpoints, punish people, especially repeat offenders. What else? Anything else? What types of events contribute to this problem?
College kids drinking.
College students being college students because they're at college. What else?
I don't know, maybe it's just like the culture of the place. Like you're expected to go to like the Aggieville area, get super messed up, and then figure out how you're supposed to get home.
Okay. But like Zach mentioned something that might be relevant to you too. The sports aspect. Like, it would be really interesting to go back like and see what the alcohol related incident reports look like between when K-State loses to Nebraska and when K-State beats Nebraska. Because in any event, whenever there's a game, college students are getting drunk, right?
Mhm.
Fair assumption? So when a
Yeah.
college is playing its rival, what's the drunk outcome? Do patterns of drinking change? Do people go home early? Like, there's the argument that college students will drink their sorrows away if their team loses, but will they also celebrate if their team wins?
Mhm.
Will they get into more fights if, like, bringing in Zach's topic, will college students at Nebraska get into more fights because K-State beat them and they're angry? How often do these events occur?
Fairly often. I mean, my first picture was like late July to through August, which, you know, that's everyone moving in. So there was a huge cluster over by Aggieville and kind of over by the campus. And then this last month for September, it went down a little bit, but mainly concentrated still around Aggieville.
Okay. So something that both you and Zach might look at is the college's academic calendar. When are midterms? I don't want to know about you personally, but how many of you know friends who like had exams and then had appointments at the bar or at house parties or threw a house party because they were done with midterms. How are the DUIs similar? How would you look at that?
I think when I click on the information that pops up, they don't really give any information other than that it's a DUI.
Okay. Like we're kind of running into the limits of like what's publicly available, but something that you could say you would collect if possible would be like, where were these people drinking? Like when we talk about things like third-party policing in, I think, a week or two, like that's going to be pretty relevant because if B-dubs isn't the problem, but Rusty's last chance is, you should go talk to Rusty's. I'm trying to remember what bars are in Aggieville. I'm drawing a blank. I'm just remembering the radio ads when I was a kid. Area, Sidell?
I'm doing property crimes in the Wichita area, like more in the central, like south central area, next to like South High School and Southeast.
Okay. So who in the community is affected by this? What's your cluster
Like-
looking like?
Like families and people with like children school age.
Okay, so residential areas, you're not looking at commercial burglaries or robberies at convenience stores, you're looking at like burglaries of homes.
In a nutshell, yeah.
Okay, so what are the harms?
To like people's like one, their property, and two, like to the camaraderie of the community, like getting along.
Yeah. So what does the public expect the police to do?
Like be able to like efficiently handle the like not only to handle and solve when burglaries and stuff happen, but like to help find a way to prevent it.
Okay. So no one really likes it when the police have to investigate a crime. They want the police to prevent crime.
Yeah.
Okay. So what types of events contribute to this problem? Have you noticed anything?
Well, it's like in the data, like at the end of like August, maybe like the beginning of September, like compared to now, there were a few more like property crimes. I'm guessing because it's a little warmer then still, but lately, like the last data, it's gotten a little colder. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. And it's been like less prevalent.
Okay. So you have a weather possibility. I mean, kind of relating it to both what Brooke and Zach have talked about, like college students are moving back. They may not know the area. I don't really know like if Wichita State is within your like area of interest. Yeah, I need to know more about the college towns in the area. Sorry.
Okay.
But like, was there a giant influx in population? Like COVID definitely is going to play a role. How are the COVID numbers? Were more people outside? Were more people willing to like take the risk? So how often do these events reoccur? Like, how consistent is your pattern?
Before September, it was about 60 property crimes a week or a day. I'm sorry, a day. And then lately it's been about 54 a day.
Pretty consistent.
Yeah.
How big is your area, by the way?
It's like, I think, I want to say 8 square miles.
That's still not that big.
No, it's not.
That's pretty big or large number of like property crimes within a pretty small area.
Yeah.
Have you been able to see anything about how these events are similar?
Well, they seem to be close to the high schools.
I mean, that makes sense. High school students are a pretty like offense-prone group. So they would be what we would consider like a crime generator. Motivated offenders go there and then crime goes up in the surrounding community.
Yeah. And it's a transient area. It's not like, it's pretty low income housing.
Yeah, economics is going to play a role, strain's going to play a role. Making sense. Adele, what about you? What's your problem?
Aggravated assault in like the Phoenix area.
Okay, so Phoenix.
Hmm.
So who in the community is affected by this?
A lot of people.
I mean, yeah, anyone who's like assaulted or like getting into Zach's issue, like we're dealing with like a transient population, or like people who are primarily renters or college students. We're dealing with people who like are, they're being victimized is going to have larger effects. So what are the harms created by this assault problem?
I mean, it's kind of just like, you know,
I mean, just standard like assault stuff.
yeah. And I'm trying to like narrow down an area more to like where it's concentrated because Phoenix is, you know, giant. So
Yeah. So this would be like a issue where like you take a look at the whole screenshot of assaults within the city for the past 30 days, and then you like start maybe in a month, you take another screenshot, see what your concentrations look like. Because like, I think Parker, you mentioned it, that homicides have changed drastically in Houston. Like change is a good thing to spot, but also things that haven't changed is also important to spot. Like with something like as hopefully rare as homicides, you're not going to have a lot of like consistent clusters. So any cluster you see is going to be really, really important. So like when you're looking at the assaults, what types of events are contributing to this problem? So we're looking at assaults in Phoenix, like where are the assaults concentrated at? Like, I noticed that I do not follow NBA at all, but I do know that the Suns did not win the championship because I checked CNN this morning. So did the Suns not doing well this season have an effect? Same with what other sport teams or college related things are occurring within the city. How often these events reoccur? Like where are our assaults concentrated and what days are they concentrated on? All right, we're running out of time, so I apologize, Adele, for like not going through this in as much detail. But I do want to make, I guess, an announcement. I'm about halfway done with your guys' midterms. So you guys should have those back later tonight. So I'm going to finish them up tonight when I go home. I apologize for not doing it this weekend. It was my anniversary, so I decided not to work. Sorry, you guys aren't that level of priority, but I'm going to finish it tonight. Don't worry. I will email you guys your feedback directly. I've graded your 3 questions on a 100-point scale, and then I just averaged it out across your 3. Okay. I have not decided whether or not I'm going to curve. I'll let you know in my email tonight, but
So far, so good.
not doing too bad. So, all right. You guys got anything? Questions, comments, concerns? You'll let me know on Wednesday after you guys see your midterms? Yeah, pretty fair. So,
Oh, paper due 14.
yes. Yes. All right. Oh, I forgot. Remember, after Thanksgiving, we're not doing in-person class anymore. I know that some of you guys were like worried about if what all classes were canceled, but I'm just going to say it flat out for me, for my classes, if you have me in other classes, after Thanksgiving, after fall break, we're not doing in person just because I know a lot of people are probably traveling. So I don't want like issues of like everyone being exposed or everyone going to quarantine. So might as well just like cut it. All right. I'll put out a more formal announcement later, but just like so your minds are at ease. Cool. Any questions? All right. I'll see you guys Wednesday.